Welcome to Potato Recap. Warning, spoiler alert. The story begins in the arid, sun-scorched highlands of Eritrea. Gunnery Sergeant Bob Lee Swagger, a legendary Marine Scout sniper, sits motionless behind his Chaytak M200 intervention rifle. Alongside his trusted spotter and best friend, Donnie Fenn, Swagger is providing overwatch for a retreating Black Ops convoy. Suddenly, an enemy attack helicopter sweeps in, raining heavy gunfire upon their position. Desperately calling for extraction, the radio crackles back with a chilling reality: they have been compromised and abandoned by their own command. Swagger manages to shoot down the chopper in a display of impossible marksmanship, but the victory is hollow. Donnie lies dead in the dirt, a casualty of a military apparatus that viewed them as nothing more than expendable ghosts. 3 years pass. Disillusioned and harboring a deep contempt for the government, Swagger has vanished from civilization, living a solitary life in a remote, snow-capped cabin in the Wyoming mountains with only his dog for company. His isolation is broken by the arrival of Colonel Isaac Johnson, a smooth-talking, decorated operative. Johnson plays on Swagger's latent sense of patriotism, claiming that a rogue assassin is planning to take a mile-long shot at the President of the United States. The government needs the best sniper alive to get inside the mind of the killer and map out the potential firing zones. Reluctantly, fueled by a lingering sense of duty he cannot quite shake, Swagger agrees to help. Swagger meticulously scouts potential locations across the country, eventually deducing that Philadelphia presents the absolute perfect conditions for a long-range assassination. On the day of the president's speech at Independence Hall, Swagger stands inside a designated Overwatch building with Johnson's team, tracking the exact parameters of the crowd. Just as the president takes the stage, Swagger spots the threat, but before he can act, a shot rings out. The bullet misses the president but strikes the Ethiopian archbishop standing next to him. Before Swagger can process the chaos, Officer Timmons, a corrupt cop on Johnson's payroll, steps into the room and fires 2 bullets into Swagger's shoulder and flank. He crashes through a window, stumbles into the streets, and corners a rookie FBI agent named Nick Memphis. Swagger overpowers Memphis, disarms him, and uses the agent's police cruiser to make a desperate getaway, eventually abandoning the car and slipping into the icy waters of the Delaware River. While the entire world's media instantly brands Bob Lee Swagger as America's most wanted terrorist, the wounded sniper relies on rudimentary survival medicine, using sugar, water, and stolen first aid supplies. Weak from blood loss, Swagger travels to Kentucky to seek out the one person he hopes won't turn him in, Sarah Fenn, the widow of his fallen spotter, Donnie. Initially terrified, Sarah looks into Swagger's eyes and recognizes the truth. She takes him in, cleans his infections, and nurses him back to health. Meanwhile, back in Washington, Agent Nick Memphis is being publicly humiliated for losing his car to the assassin. However, Memphis is smart. He begins noticing gaping holes in the official narrative, such as how Swagger's rifle was supposedly recovered without his fingerprints, and how the corrupt cop who shot Swagger was conveniently murdered in a staged mugging shortly after. Memphis's digging gets too close to the truth, prompting Colonel Johnson's mercenaries to kidnap the agent with plans to stage his suicide. But Swagger is already tracking them. In a lightning-fast, silent ambush by a lake, Swagger uses a silenced .22 rifle to systematically eliminate Memphis's captors just seconds before they force him to pull the trigger on himself. Dragging a stunned Memphis to safety, Swagger offers the agent a choice: walk away or help him burn down the conspiracy. Memphis chooses to fight. Together, they form an alliance, feeding information to a sympathetic FBI ally while Swagger trains Memphis in the brutal, high-stakes fundamentals of sniper combat. To clear Swagger's name, the duo visits a legendary, reclusive gunsmith named Mr. Rate. Rate explains a highly specialized ballistic trick called paper patching, which allows a bullet to be fired from a different gun than the ballistics suggest. He deduces that only one other sniper alive could make that Philadelphia shot, a wheelchair-bound Serbian assassin named Mikhailo Skrzerbiak. Swagger and Memphis track Skrzerbiak to his heavily guarded estate in Virginia. In a breathtaking sequence, Swagger utilizes low-tech, homemade pipe bombs and precise camouflaged movements to wipe out the estate's security detail. Swagger confronts the crippled Skrzerbiak, who reveals a sinister global truth. Colonel Johnson doesn't operate on behalf of American security, he works for a corrupt U.S. Senator named Charles Meacham. The Archbishop was killed because he was about to expose a horrific massacre of an entire Ethiopian village orchestrated by Meacham's oil consortium to clear land for a pipeline, the very pipeline Swagger and Donnie had been covering years prior. Realizing he was baited into doing the reconnaissance for his own setup, Swagger watches in shock as Serbiak commits suicide to avoid torture. Suddenly, a massive mercenary strike team descends on the house. Swagger and Memphis fight their way out through sheer firepower, but they receive devastating news: Johnson has kidnapped Sarah. Swagger arranges a final showdown with Senator Meacham and Colonel Johnson on a desolate, snow-blasted mountain peak in Virginia. Armed with a sniper rifle wrapped in white camo, Swagger blends invisibly into the snowdrift. As Memphis acts as a decoy, Swagger systematically picks off the hidden snipers guarding the perimeter. He wounds the sadistic mercenary Jack Payne, allowing Sarah to take her own revenge by pulling the trigger on her captor. Faced with a cornered Senator Meacham, Swagger refuses to kill him in cold blood, choosing instead to burn the evidence of the massacre, knowing the FBI is closing in and that he needs a formal day in court. The climax takes place in a closed-door hearing with the U.S. Attorney General. Colonel Johnson and Senator Meacham sit arrogantly, confident that their political shielding will keep them safe. Swagger brings in his Chaytak rifle, the supposed murder weapon. To prove his innocence once and for all, Swagger loads a round, aims it at a target, and pulls the trigger. The gun merely clicks. Swagger reveals that every time he leaves his house, he secretly swaps out the firing pins of his rifles, making them completely inoperable. The rifle couldn't have shot the Archbishop because it couldn't shoot at all. Swagger is fully exonerated, but the Attorney General pulls him aside and admits that because Meacham's crimes occurred outside U.S. jurisdiction, the law cannot touch them. As the Senator and Johnson toast to their untouchable status, Swagger breaches the house like a specter. With cold, absolute finality, he executes the mercenaries, Colonel Johnson, and Senator Meacham, before blowing up the cabin and walking away into the night, a ghost who finally balanced the ledger. Don't forget to hit the like and comment your favorite action film, and subscribe for more Potato Recap movie breakdowns.